Hello and welcome to Sriraj IS. My name is Shashank Roy and we are here with our news analysis, the Hindu news analysis of 14th of April 2026. So let's start with today's topic. So in today's newspaper, we have taken four heavyweight articles published in the Hindu newspaper. The first and foremost is related to delimitation. Approximately 4 or 5 articles are coming from delimitation related matter. The next is related to special intensive revision in West Bengal and the recent observation made by the Supreme Court of India. The third is coming about the water crisis in the water crisis in Bengaluru, and the fourth one is related to West Asia, Iran and USA war and its impact on Indian economy. So let's talk about the first article that is related to delimitation. So first, we will understand what is delimitation and it's a threat, how it is a threat to India's federal structure. So there are four different articles. Delimitation will not affect India. Delimitation will not affect southern states, says Goel. Telangana CM moots hybrid GSDP based delimitation method for increasing seats. Third is Sitaraman Stalin clash over letter of incentive. The fourth one is resisting amendments for delimitation can harm the South. These are four articles clubbed together. So we will go for a collective discussion related to these topics. So what delimitation is? Delimitation is the process of redrawing boundaries of Lok Sabha and the state assembly seats to represent changes in population and demography, or I would say demography. So the process of redrawing of boundaries of Lok Sabha and state assembly seats to represent changes in the population. Democracy is all about, people, and delimitation is all about changing the constituencies, the size of parliamentary constituencies and state assembly constituencies on the basis of population. So this is what is delimitation is all about. The main task of delimitation commission is redrawing the boundaries of the various assembly and Lok Sabha constituencies based on a recent census. So the last census in India was done in 2011. Okay, so I hope you got an idea about delimitation. Delimitation is about adjustment, increasing or decreasing the boundaries of the constituencies on the basis of the population to ensure proportional representation in Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly. Now, when when delimitation is related to population, should we not talk about the population or demographic changes in India, in different parts of India, especially in the context of southern states and northern states, how the demographic decline is taking place in southern states? And if the population is declining or the fertility rate is declining rapidly in southern state, it means that they will have less number of population. It means they will have less number of people in the parliament. It means that they will have less number of say in the central government. So they have major repercussions. So what is delimitation? Potential Lok Sabha seat distribution after 2026 delimitation. Total seats are expected to be 846, but this article says that after delimitation, the Lok Sabha will have 816 seats. 816 seats. Potential Lok Sabha seat distribution after 2026 delimitation. Now, crux delimitation debate and north-south divide. But before we proceed to understand this thing, let's understand the entire delimitation through demography. So make a rough diagram of India. Make a rough diagram of India. Now, this is the rough diagram. And when you look at demography, demography means its simple meaning is population. Demography's simple meaning is population. Now, when we talk about demography, let's have a look at the changing demographic status in India. If you look at southern state, the population is declining. In southern states, population is declining, especially in Karnataka, in Kerala, in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra, in Telangana. Now, these are the states with declining fertility rate, with declining total fertility rate. It means their population is shrinking, right? But at the same time, when you look at northern state and high total fertility rate, Northern state has high total fertility rate, so it means population is higher. Now when you go for the census, now when you go for the delimitation, and delimitation is debated, delimitation is depending on the population to draw or redraw the constituencies of Lok Sabha and state legislative assembly. It means that southern states are going to lose seats. Southern states are going to lose seats because there is a shrinking population. In fact, there is a negative total fertility rate. It means they will have less number of seats, less number of seats in Lok Sabha, whereas because of the rising total fertility rate or the high total fertility rate, northern states have higher seats in Lok Sabha. Now the problem is, Lok Sabha, when it comes to making the government, you need absolute number of majority. 272 seats you need to make the government at the central government, at the center, at the union. If you have less number of MPs in parliament, you will have less weightage. If you have less weightage, and you will have a less say in union government. So northern state will benefit, in comparison of southern states because of their population. Team, is that clear? Team, is that clear? So this is what demography is all about. Let's look at the article, what the article says. Article says that the debate over delimitation of Lok Sabha seats after 2026 census raises concern of political imbalance between North and South India. Note down the word political imbalance. Means the number of MPs sent in Lok Sabha from each state. Number of MPs. So, political imbalance between North and South India. What is delimitation? I have already explained you. Redrawing of constituencies, boundaries, and seat distribution in Lok Sabha and state legislative assemblies on the basis of population. Based on population data census 2011 is used. So we are using 15 years old data for our proportional representation. Now government, they are coming under Article 81 and 82 of the Constitution. Now, I've already explained you delimitation. Now, current situation as of now, Lok Sabha has 543 seats, frozen in 1971 census, and this freeze is valid till 2026. Now, the government is going to increase the seat on the basis of 2011 census and not on the basis of 2026 census or 2027 census. So, freeze valid till 2026. Next delimitation likely to be based on latest census post 2026 means this delimitation is going to take place on the basis of census 2011, and Lok Sabha seats are have been frozen till 2026. So for 2029 we have approximately 816 Lok Sabha seats, and they will come on the basis of census 2011. Now, key concern, what South India is worried about. South India, southern states especially, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, they have a controlled population growth. They have a declining total fertility rate. And because of this declining total fertility rate, they may lose their seat share in the parliament. Now, northern states such as UP and Bihar, they have a high fertility rate. So they will have higher number of seats in Lok Sabha, which will benefit them in multiple ways. So they will gain more seats. So result will be shifting of political power from South India to North India. And anyways, if you want to make a seat at the center, you have to win maximum seats in Uttar Pradesh. Alone, Uttar Pradesh gives 80 parliamentary seats. 80 Lok Sabha seats are coming from Uttar Pradesh. So they are already in a very advantageous position. And after this delimitation, what will happen? UP will have at least 92 seats in Lok Sabha, whereas Kerala will have around 12 seats in Lok Sabha. So it will be a net gain for northern India and net loss for southern India. Next is what BJP proposal indicates. BJP is looking for expanding their seats from 543 to 816 seats. to maintain proportional distribution based on population. So, and on top of that, apart from this delimitation, there are 33% reservation for women in the parliament, but seat increase still benefits high population states more. So there are delimitation, because of which the southern states are already losing, and on top of that 13% seats will be reserved for women. Now, constitutional mechanism. Article 81 and 82 talks about the seat distribution in Lok Sabha. Delimitation Commission is to be formed based on latest census, likely 2027 data. So the problem is here, the bigger debate is equity and population debate. Southern states say that we controlled population and we should not be punished. We have contributed immensely. They have a lesser number of population, but at the same time, they are the highest contributor to the national GDP. Now, northern argument says representation should be population based and democratic principle, but this democratic principle is benefiting in a different way to northern India and harming the southern states. Now, impact. Kerala may lose proportional share. For example, Kerala has 20 seats in Lok Sabha. Now, if out of these 20 seats, if we give 133, one-third seats to women reservation, they will have hardly 14 seats. Or after census or delimitation, Kerala will have only 12 seats. Whereas UP and Bihar will gain significantly. UP alone is expected to have 92 Lok Sabha seats. So South's voice in parliament may weaken, because parliament is all about, Lok Sabha is all about number of representative your state is giving. Now, what will be the political implication of this? Possible north-centric policy dominance. Northern states, for example, I don't want to take the name, but again, northern state will have higher weightage when it comes to policy making. Now, federal tension may increase and demand to extend 1971 freeze may further. So, this is it. These are the concerns of the southern state, that they may lose their seat share in the parliament, and if that happens, delimitation will delimitation will give them unfair advantage in terms of number of seats. So what is the way forward? Maintain current proportional balance, extend freeze, hybrid formula, population plus performance indicators. That is a good idea, as suggested by Revant Reddy from Telangana, and increase total seats without reducing southern share. So these are the concern, and this is what this article is all about. So now let's move on to next article, and this is related to conflict in West Asia. We have 4 different articles coming from Israel, Palestine, Iran, and USA. So here, Israeli troops fired tear gas at school children in West Bank. They are also accused of genocide and using white phosphorus on civilians. Right? Next is Russia offers to take enriched uranium from Iran, says Peskov. Nothing critical. Iran executed at least 1639 in 2025. More hangings feared, says NGO. So after Iran civilian protest, many people have got hanged, at least 1639, as said by NGO working in Iranian human rights. Next is US military blockades Iran ports. Tehran threatens ports in the region. So this is nothing critical in this article. I will suggest you to read and learn the name of US military depots or military bases in Middle East. US military bases in Middle East, because UPSC might ask question, does this particular military base is located in which region? So this is the military base, and this is the area located in. You have to match the correct military base with the correct location. So remember them. Now, Israel says its troops surrounded key town in southern Lebanon. Again, the same related to the Iran-USA conflict. US-Israel met strategic defeat in war, says Iranian envoy to India, Muhammad Fatahli. So this, apart from this, there is another article related to Iranian blockade, and here comes the editorial. The editorial written by ex-governor, former chairman, Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council, and former governor RBI C. Rangarajan and D.K. Srivastav. The fallout of the crisis in West Asia on India's economy. Generally, when we talk about Iran-USA conflict, we only talk about the impact or India's stakes involved, Indian stakes involved in West Asia, primarily in terms of diaspora, energy security, investment, or remittances. But this article is going to give you a broader perspective related to US-Iran conflict in West Asia and its impact on Indian economy. So get set ready and get a 360-degree view. Crux: West Asia crisis and impact on Indian economy. The core theme is crisis in West Asia, especially around the Strait of Hormuz, and it is not only disrupting energy supply, it is also impacting economy and different sectors of Indian economy. So what are these sectors? India imports oil from 41 countries, and India is an energy starved nation. Approximately 88 to 90% of India's energy oil is coming from foreign nations, imported. Now, whenever there will be a global supply chain disruption, and whenever there will be any problem related to choke points from where the oil is exported or imported, India's supply chain will be disrupted, India's energy security will be compromised. So, linked to global crude benchmark, Brent Dubai crude, meaning any global disruption will have a direct impact on India and India's energy security. Now, major economic impact of West Asian war. The first one will be supply shock. As please note the data, India imports 88%. India imports 88 to 90% of its oil from 41 countries. 41 countries. Majority of them is coming from West Asia. Now, apart from oil-related crisis, India is facing problems in different sectors of Indian economy. Disruption in oil, gas, and fertilizer. Fertilizer crisis started after Russia-Ukraine war. And it further aggravated after war with USA and Iran. Now, affects industries apart from oil, gas, and fertilizer, textile sector, chemical sector, cement, agriculture, and these are other industries which are facing a severe crisis because of this war. So these are the sectors: gas, oil, fertilizer, textile, chemicals, cement, and agriculture. Apart from that, this fertilizer crisis is coming at a time when we have a Kharif output season. So it's going to impact our agriculture or food security as well, because due to lack of fertilizer, there will definitely be a crop output impact. Now, logistical and cost push. Now, logistical and cost push means we transport and gas, LNG, CNG, PNG through big shipping lines. Now, shipping routes such as Hormuz are disrupted. Now, it will increase the transport cost as well as the insurance cost. Insurance companies are charging 10 times or 50 times of what they charge in comparison of what they charge in normal circumstances. So this West Asian conflict is leading to increasing cost of transportation and insurance. Apart from that, it is increasing in the final product price, leading to inflation. Now, if the cost of transportation and logistics is higher, if the cost of transportation and logistics are higher, who will pay this high bill? Who will bear the brunt of inflation? We, the people of India. So it's not only a problem related to energy, it's also a problem related to textile, fertilizer, oil, chemical, cement industry. And here, final product prices will be borne by us. Now, export and growth impact. Demand slowed down in West Asia, US, and Europe. Because of that, India's exports are lagging behind to West Asia. India is a big center for us. We do a lot of trade with West Asia, approximately 16% of our total trade. So that trade is completely gone, derailed. The result is lower export and slower GDP growth. Next is rupee depreciation. What will happen when the rupee will depreciate it? Higher oil prices, more dollar demand, and that will lead to capital outflow and uncertainty. Have you seen the foreign outflow, the outflow of Indian currency, right? The outflow of Indian currency, not dollar, capital outflows plus uncertainty because of high oil prices and more dollar demand, because of which rupee weakens and remittances from Gulf may decline as well. Next is current account deficit. It will impact the import, oil will become expensive. It will lead to decline in exports. Current account deficit will widen and macroeconomic pressure will be mounted on the government. It will lead to inflation. Fuel price will rise. Cost push inflation will be there. When the cost push inflation will be there, it will impact transport, food and fertilizer. Liquidity increase may worsen inflation. So it has multiple dimensions. Next is fiscal deficit problem. Government may cut excise duty to control prices to give some relief, but it will increase subsidies in fuel and fertilizer. Then what will happen? It will lead to revenue loss and higher fiscal deficit, which will be difficult for the government to manage. Next is impact on state. Now, since the revenue is less, inflation is higher, government is reducing, cutting excise duty, increasing subsidies, which will lead to lower tax devolution between the center and the state. It will also lead to pressurized to reduce VAT on fuel, and state finances will be weakened in long term. Now, what will be the quantitative impact? Now, every $10 increase in crude price will decrease GDP growth by 0.15%, inflation by 30-point basis, and if the crisis is continued for the next few months, it will increase our GDP growth by 1%. So as of now, it is believed that India's GDP growth is expected to be 6.9%, but it is, and if we go by this definition, it is expected to be around 5.9 or 6%. Now, inflation will be higher by 2%. Now, overall, West Asian crisis will lead to the oil price rise, imports rise. Now, current account deficit will be widened, rupee will be depreciated, inflation will rise, growth will decline, and fiscal distress will be increased. Okay. Now, this entire editorial is related to GS paper 3 economy, inflation, current account deficit, fiscal deficit, GS paper 2 international relations, and in prelims straight of farmers, oil, and geopolitics. So this is it in this editorial. Now let's talk about another editorial that is related to a special intensive revision. Supreme Court wraps Election Commission on a special intensive revision discrepancies, says voting is a sentimental right. Voting is a sentimental right. Why this system? Why Supreme Court is so sharp in its criticism of the Election Commission? Because few days back it was revealed that 60 lakhs voters have been deleted from the state electoral rolls of West Bengal. West Bengal is approaching elections in the next few weeks. West Bengal will have its assembly elections. BJP government is trying their level best to get a foothold in the politics of West Bengal, and 60 lakh people have been deleted. Few days back, the people of West Bengal arrested or gheraoed 9 judicial members, and they were not allowed to come outside. Now, Supreme Court has given this observation that logical discrepancies. How come logical discrepancies are leading to deletion of 60 lakh voters out of West Bengal electoral rolls? So let's talk about what this article is all about. Apart from that, there is also one article written by Ashok Lavasa, who worked as a former election commissioner during 2014-15, and after that he resigned. So, onus on Supreme Court to protect faith in democracy. Now, what this article says, the core issue: Supreme Court criticizes Election Commission over special intensive revision of electoral roll, which is leading to deletion of 60 lakh voters. Now, deletion of voters due to discrepancies, and these discrepancies are known as logical discrepancies. West Bengal is the only state where Election Commission has applied this term logical discrepancies. This logical discrepancy was nowhere seen during Bihar Assembly election and voter roll purification process of election commission. Now, what is at stake? Right to vote is a constitutional for and democratic right according to the Supreme Court. Apart from that, it's also a sentimental right. It also shows that the identity that you are Indian. It also shows your right, your right related to citizenship. It also shows your participation in democracy. So everything comes down to sentimental. When you vote for your country, when you vote in your state, it is less of a constitutional right or a democratic right and more of a sentimental right to prove that you are an Indian citizen, to prove that you love your country, to prove that you are a stakeholder in your country's development. This is what Supreme Court observes. It also says problem with the SIR exercise. Election Commission says Election Commission's aim is to clean electoral roll, remove duplicate or illegal entries. But there are some problems with Supreme Court's with the Election Commission aim. It led to mass deletion. Approximately 60 lakh people got deleted. Logical discrepancies are unclear. What does it mean? What do you mean by logical discrepancies? In India, in a country like India, we have seen logical discrepancies such as my name is Shashank Shekhar Roy. There is one alphabet missing, or one alphabet is different from the real one. Because of one alphabet wrong, or because of one surname, instead of ROY it's RAI, it is put in under doubtful credentials. This is what logical discrepancy is all about. Let me show you. Let's say one of your documents says your Aadhaar card says Mohan, and in your electoral roll, because of spelling mistake, it shows Mohun, or my surname is Roy in Aadhaar, and electoral roll it shows RAI, right? So this is how logical discrepancies are defined. When even a single alphabet is or mismatched in electoral roll and between Aadhaar card, what Election Commission is doing, Election Commission is putting them doubtful, and putting them under logical discrepancies. This is what Election Commission is doing. Now it is leading to mass deletion, logical discrepancies under genuine voters getting excluded. Many of the ex-army men, many of the social activists got excluded because of these logical discrepancies, and Supreme Court is surprised that this logical discrepancy was not at all visible or not applied during Bihar special intensive revision. Now Supreme Court says Election Commission cannot act arbitrarily. It must follow due process of law and natural justice. What are the key concerns of the Supreme Court? The key concerns are voter removes without proper hearing. You have a right to be heard. If your name was deleted, you must be given a chance to prove that you are an Indian citizen and you have all the documents. And Election Commission must be an enabler, not create a hurdle. In fact, it means that Election Commission must be cooperative. But one single alphabet is missing or mismatched in your name and you are put under logical discrepancies, your citizenship is questionable, under doubt. So voters removed without proper hearing, appeals not handled fairly, and burden placed on citizen to prove eligibility whereas it should be proved by the Election Commission. The onus should not be on the citizen. They are coming up with their documents. Now on documentation issue, Election Commission is asking for birth certificate and legacy documents. Now Supreme Court says that in a country like India where 60% population is illiterate, they do not have knowledge about documentation. This is illogical. Now it is not practical for many citizens, and especially for poor and marginalized group of the society. They have not gone to school. They do not have any valid document. They are cultivating the same field for the 100 years or 50 years, and they do not have even a document to prove their worthiness or their ownership. And in that state, in that rural area, you are asking for the birth certificate and these documentation, which is next to impossible for people like them. Now, major red flags highlighted by the Supreme Court: mass exclusion risk, administrative failure, and because of administrative failure of the Election Commission, citizens are paying the penalty. And apart from that, there is no grievance redressal mechanism. The people whose name got deleted, they've not got a chance to prove their worthiness, to prove their eligibility, to prove that they are Indian citizens, to prove that they have a right to vote and they are the voters in the previous electoral rolls. Now, example, case of voter wrongly excluded despite valid documents. Next, on federal concern, Election Commission blamed state for lack of resources, but Supreme Court countered that argument. Supreme Court says that responsibility ultimately lies with Election Commission, which is a constitutional body which is known as bulwark of Indian Constitution, and not on the state governments. So do not blame the state governments or Mamata Banerjee government that they are not cooperating. In fact, there are complete lack of responsibility in the way Election Commission is conducting special intensive revision. Now, key legal principles. Electoral process must adhere to fairness, transparency, and inclusivity, but election must not be just procedure. It's about protecting democratic participation. But what Election Commission is doing is totally against the ethics of protecting democratic participation. This is what Supreme Court has observed. Now, court says, do not rush SIR process before election. Ensure that you are giving proper hearing to the people whose number have been deleted. Now, reasoned decision why they must be explained, that why their name has been excluded from the voter list, and no wrongful inclusion. This is what has been said and observed by the Supreme Court. Now, GS paper 2, this article is related to GS paper 2. Election Commission, which is a constitutional body, roles and mandate of Election Commission, representation of people and democratic rights. Now, electoral integrity is not just clean rolls, but inclusive roles as well. So this is what this article summarizes, that electoral integrity does not lies in clean electoral rolls, but it lies in inclusive roles where every citizen is allowed to participate, where Election Commission is trying their level best to not leaving even the last man standing in the row. So this is what the article says, and this is it. Now, next article is related to IMD April forecast project monsoons to be below normal for first time in 11 years. So this article is mainly saying that this time rainfall will be shorter than expected, and because of El Nino, the rainfall will be shorter. So there will be a rain deficit, and Kharif season is going to be impacted negatively in India. And if Kharif season will be impacted negatively, it will lead to inflation and the price rise in the market. Now, parked again, Bangalore in water crisis already. ET now has reported that Bangalore water crisis is rising. Look at this one. This report is coming from the Indian Express and Down to Earth. These are the cities: Pinya, Kudu Maleshwara, Rajajinagar, Chickpet, and RK Puram. These are the areas where water scarcity is rising, and this is a classic case of unplanned urbanization and associated issues. So what you are supposed to do, you have to, this is an article related to your urbanization and associated issues. Urbanization and associated issues. Apart from that, it's also related to climate change. Also added to constitutional provisions related to municipalities and urban local bodies. Okay, so this is how you are going to do this Bangalore water crisis. Now, what this Bangalore water crisis says, that Bangalore is facing a water crisis once again, and Bangalore's water crisis is deepening because the water table are going down day by day. So the water scarcity is taking place. Bangalore facing severe groundwater depletion despite all improvement in Karnataka's water security. Bangalore especially mainly dependent on Kaveri water river, and the treatment facilities are not up to the mark, because of which the water table is going down and down. Now, key data, according to the data, Karnataka's government groundwater extraction is 66%. Bengaluru East Taluk has extracted 378% of the water extreme over extraction, leading to dark zones in certain areas of Bangalore. Now, why crisis is happening? The first is, reason lies on crystalline rock, means Bangalore is located and established on a crystalline stone rocks, which has less capacity to absorb water. Right? So crystalline rock, low water storage capacity and slow groundwater recharge, So these rocks do not allow water to percolate and recharge the groundwater. Next is natural constraint. It lies on crystalline rocks, low water storage capacity, slow groundwater recharge. Again, urbanization pressure, high population density, high per capita water uses, technological parks, apartments. Again, built up infrastructure is increasing huge pressure on water needs, water extraction from the ground. Next is overburden on Kaveri. They are disproportionately dependent on Kaveri River for their water, which is expensive and unsustainable for long term. Apart from that, climate change. Weak monsoon was there in 2024. Nearly half of 14,000 borewell dried up because of this weak monsoon. Because of weak monsoon, weak rainfall took place, and because of weak rainfall, there was a less water recharge in the groundwater. Now, governance failure. Apart from that, governments, there is fragmented management of pipeline supply, groundwater, and wastewater. Now, key issues: no integrated water management plan, dependence on tankers economy, poor leak control, and weak regulation of groundwater extraction. And the same was being witnessed in Delhi. Delhi's old Rajendra Nagar, which is hub of UPSC's two aspirants, which is hub of UPSC aspirants, has faced 7 days of water scarcity. Next is current situation. The crisis is spreading to Kormangala and Hebbal, which is a high densely populated area, and residents are relying heavily on water tanker, costly and unreliable. But tell me one thing, tanker, the people who are well off, they can afford tankers. But what about the people who cannot afford it? For them, for whom affordability is not possible, what will they do? What will they do? How will they survive? Will they drink the unclean water? Will they drink the unclean water? And how their health will be impacted? So, the tanker economy or tanker water is not a sustainable solution for masses. Next is existing measure. Kaveri expansion project is taking place, but there is a partial success. Treated wastewater for leak recharge, but it is not sufficient. Means treatment plants are not enough to treat the wastewater and recycle it and make it potable or drinkable. Now, way forward, what can be done? Spawn city. What has happened? Bengaluru has become an urban jungle. Bengaluru has become an urban jungle. What do I mean by urban jungle? Bengaluru has become a concrete jungle. Concrete jungle. High-rise apartments. High-rise apartment. High-rise apartments. Cyber parks have made the entire floor concrete, which is not allowing water to percolate and recharge the groundwater. Apart from that, there is no provision of rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting. The treatment plants are not sufficient. And there is a lack of coordination among municipal agencies in managing water. So what Bangalore is supposed to do to tide over this crisis? Bangalore must become a sponge city. They must restore lakes and wetlands, reconnect water bodies. They must improve rainwater harvesting and groundwater recharge. Apart from that, governance reforms, integrated water management, reduce tanker dependency, control over extraction, and fix leakage losses. And in this way, Bangalore can become a self-sustaining city in terms of water. Otherwise, it will have a difficult time for the days to come for Bangalore. In GS paper 3, this topic will be related to urbanization issues, water resource management, and climate vulnerability. Urban water crisis will lead to demand pressure and ecological neglect and governance failure, and it may lead to conflict as well, because water is lifeline. So this is it. And next, India is about to make greatest decision of 21st century. This is related to Pradhan Mantri Nari Vandan Adhiniyam. GEIF to set up engine repair facility for Tejas fleet. I will cover this article. Philippines accuses China of poisoning disputed water. The Philippines naval officer says that China is poisoning water near Scarborough Shoal near South China Sea. So mapping is important. Team mapping is important. Nobody will ask question about poisoning. Question will be asked about which area, which location. Is that a disputed territory? And who are the stakeholders in this entire conflict? Next is Orban loses Hungary vote to newcomer Peter Magyar. So please एक बार Hungary की mapping कर लीजिएगा. UPSC will always ask 4, 5, 6 questions related to mapping. So this is it in today's topic. We'll get back to you with some new articles. Thank you so much. Wish you a wonderful day ahead. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.